Hello, you beautiful people. Today I wanted to talk about some problems I have with the NBA All Star voting process. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the All Star game, but I just want to bring up a few things that bother me about it. So, before we begin, feel free to like and subscribe if you want to. We're on the grind to 1,000 subs, and I really appreciate the support I've been getting on the recent videos. Also, I have a Discord for the non casual basketball fans, so that link's going to be in the description. It's really great if you want to talk about NBA, fantasy, or anything hoop related, and I definitely recommend that. And with that being said, let's just start the video. So the main problem that I have with the NBA All-Star voting process is honestly the inconsistency that we hold players to. And what I mean by this, for example, let's look at Bradley Beal. So last year, I think it was like a unanimous agreement that he was an All-Star snub, but that being said, he still did not make the team. And the main argument people were making against Bradley Beal making the All-Star team was that his team's record wasn't very good. But by the same token, if you looked in the Eastern Conference, like one of the players off of the Hawks who had the worst record in the league at the time, Trae Young, was an all-star starter. Like, how does that make any sense? If Beal can't make the all-star team because his team has a losing record, why can a team with a worse record get an all-star starter? Like, that doesn't make any sense. And that sort of just continued on into this season because, like, if we look at players, like, again, if we refer to Beal, this season he's an all-star starter, and I think he deserves it. He's played great. But if you're going to say that players can't make the all-star game because they have a losing record, then it doesn't make any sense to have Beal as an all-star starter. And I know that it's the fans that choose the starters mainly, and then it's the coaches that choose the reserves. But from just a purely starter aspect, another problem that I have with the inconsistency is shown in the result that Luka Doncic is an all star starter while Damian Lillard wasn't. Because, as we all know before the season started, there was a strong narrative that Luka Doncic was going to win the MVP this year. And it was kind of like he was the next up and coming young talent. Everyone was expecting a big season out of him. And honestly, like, the Mavs just haven't been performing up to what we expected. And it's like, how much can you contribute to that being Luka Doncic and Damian Lillard individually, and how much can you contribute that to their team, like not being healthy or not being able to win games? Because like, if we look at the Mavericks and the Trailblazers, they both were decimated by injuries or Rona-related things this year, so they have that going against them. But somehow they've still managed to pull out like respectable records. So it's like, how do you determine that Luka Doncic is better than Damian Lillard if you're a fan? I mean, if you look at the records rate, like the way that we use like team records, then the Trailblazers have a better record than the Mavericks. So there goes that argument if you do want to make it, even though I'm not a particularly big fan of it. But yeah, I just don't think there's like a solid way to subjectively say if Damian Lillard or Luka Doncic are having a better year. I mean, they're both really solid players, and there's just a lot of talent in both conferences right now. Like, it's just really hard to decide who should be a starter and who should be a reserve. But yeah, I think the fan vote does have a bit too much weight on it because like we all know some fans aren't too responsible with their voting. I mean, not like it's a huge deal. It's just an all-star vote. It's not like a national election vote, but still, like we saw Klay Thompson got a lot of votes. Andrew Wiggins gets a lot of votes, and it's pretty much just like the teams with the biggest fan bases just have a lot of power in swaying who's going to get voted in. And it's just, I don't think the fan vote should be weighted for that much when we have like players that are actually like playing basketball against these people. We have coaches and we have media members who are like getting paid to watch these people and comment on them. I think their vote should probably count for a lot more. And I know the NBA just gives the fans votings for ratings, but I think it's shown like season after season that we're not too responsible with it in all cases. And it just sucks that like people that may not know basketball as well as others get to decide that Luka Doncic is going to be a starter and Damian Lillard isn't. So then we're going to move on to my next problem with the All-Star voting process, and it's something that's come up a lot this year, and it's determining that someone was snubbed from the All-Star game. And here's the thing, there are so many good players in the league now that no matter what the team was, there was no way it was going to satisfy 100% of people that every single player deserves to be an All-Star and there was nobody else that could replace them. Like, if you look at the difference between some players that didn't make the All-Star game and some players that did, it is very hard to say like what's the determining factor. Like, if we look at some players that didn't get picked this year, I mean, right off the bat we got Trae Young, who was an All-Star starter last year, and it's like, what changed from Trae Young's game? Honestly, like all that happened was like he got better teammates, but they're still not winning games. So like, it's not like Trae Young has played drastically worse. And in terms of being a reserve, I mean, we all know the coaches have a vote in that. And we've heard that a lot of coaches aren't a fan of how Trae Young plays basketball, but it's like, just because you don't like how he's abusing the rules or whatever you want to call it, why does that mean he doesn't get to be an all-star player, you know? Like, just because, like, I know Steve Nash had comments about Trae Young, he didn't like how he was flopping into him, and honestly, I hate it as well, but to be, like, if he can do it and it's in the rules, then why are you punishing Trae Young for doing that? Like, that's more on the league than it is on Trae Young, so I feel like not liking a player because of what they're doing isn't a valid reason not to vote for them if they're putting up good numbers and everything. And then we have another one that's kind of a snub. I mean, he's not like a big name player, but it's going to be Chris Middleton. I mean, the Bucks are always at the top of the league. So like you could easily make a case for Middleton making it over someone in the East as well, but that's what I mean. There's just so many good players that it's not like anyone's like, "Oh my god, like I can't believe Chris Middleton didn't get in." But it's like you got to look at the East All-Star lineup and be like, "Well, who's he getting in over, you know?" And then if we look at a few other ones, we have DeRozan, we have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, De'Aaron Fox, and that's the thing. Like all of these players are definitely playing at an All-Star caliber level, but it's just like, who would you replace for them all? You know, like we can't fit every single person into the All-Star game, so I just feel like we have to stop being so upset whenever our player we like doesn't get in, because we got to realize like there's not like a insurmountable difference between these guys. It's just like that's just how the voting went. That's just what the coaches saw. And I know Booker is now into the All-Star game, so I'm happy for him. And the Suns are playing great as well on a side note, but I feel like the main All-Star snub for this season, if you do want to say that there is such thing as snubs, would be Domantas Sabonis, because like I don't know what it is. I feel like if you were to make an argument for anyone on this list to make it in over somebody else, I would say Sabonis has the best case, just because like he's putting up like really efficient scoring numbers. The Pacers are a really good team, and they're the only top 4 seed in either conference that doesn't have an All-Star on it. So I feel like that would be the strongest case for him. But again, it's like, who are you going to take out, you know? Like, if you put him in over Vucevic, you'd have just as many people saying, "Oh, I can't believe Vucevic didn't make the All-Star game." So yeah, to summarize the video, I just say I hate the inconsistency that we show with players. I mean, one season it's, oh, they had a losing record, and the next season it's like, oh, but they're scoring 30 points a game. Like, he was scoring 30 points a game last season too. Obviously, I'm referring to Beal. And my next problem is that we got to stop getting up in arms whenever one of our favorite players doesn't make the All-Star game, because, like, I mean, we see it every year, man. Like, just know, like, if, I don't know, if Kyrie didn't get in for some reason, this is just a random example, then, like, people would be obviously very upset that he didn't get in, but there'd also be just as many people being like, "Oh, Kyrie doesn't deserve it, he missed games," or whatever. So you just got to remember there's a lot of different perspectives on these kind of things, and you can't be 100% objectively right with these things. There's always subjectivity in this voting process. So yeah, that's going to conclude the video. Sorry, this is just more of a rant video, just felt like talking about it. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you all have a great day.